Hi folks, here's a second example of balancing chemical equations, and in this one here I notice there's only two types of atoms that I'm dealing with, so I'm going to see if I can actually do this without creating a chart like I did in the first example. Okay, so what I'm going to start with here is I'm going to start working with the iron. Okay, so I notice here that I've got one iron atom on the left and two iron atoms on the right. Okay, so in order to balance those out, well, I can just put a coefficient of 2 in front of this iron on the left-hand side. So now I've got two iron atoms on the left, and I've got two on the right, and so those are balanced. Okay, so let's move on to the oxygen. Now this is where I notice that I've got 2 on the left and 3 on the right. So this isn't balanced. We're going to have to do something about it. The only problem is that 2 and 3, one is not a multiple of the other. So it's not like I can just add a coefficient to just one of these oxygens here to make it work out. So again, think math. Okay, we need to find a number that is a multiple of both 2 and 3. In other words, let's look for the lowest common multiple between 2 and 3, and that's going to be 6. Okay, so in order to get 6 atoms of oxygen, I'm going to have to add a coefficient of 3 on the left here. So 3 times 2 is 6. And I'm going to have to add a coefficient of 2, okay, on the right to get 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so now I've managed to balance the oxygens, but in balancing the oxygens, I've changed the number of irons on the right-hand side. Instead of having 2 on the right, I now have 4. 2 times 2. Okay? So, luckily that's easily fixed. So it means instead of having only 2 irons on the left, okay, I'm just going to take my eraser, and now I need to have 4 instead. Okay? And now everything's balanced out because I have 4 irons and 4 irons, okay, and I have my 6 oxygen and 6 oxygen. So in the end, even though this looked a little simpler than that first example that we did, we see that it actually was a little more complicated. So this is one of the things that you have to accept, that when solving for your coefficients to balance out the equations, you're sometimes going to have to change as you go along. So this becomes our final balanced chemical equation. Okay? Okay, that's it for this example.